Welcome everyone, we are in the Langhe area, you are in La Morra today and we will visit the Marcarini Winery. Just a look at this building because it's really part of the story of the city of La Morra. The first slice in here, it's a tower from the Middle Ages. This was the entrance of the village of La Morra, where people had to stop and pay the tax to access the village. Just later on, during the 1800s, they built up the rest of the building that you see here, where we structure the rest of our winery, bottling cellar, fermentation cellar, and our little office. But we will start from the aging cellar of Barolo.
It's going to be dark. It's going to be dark here.
A bit dark, but...
Oh, but that's the way it is. That's the way it is.
That's the way it is. It must be like this. That's the corridor of our big barrels. That's actually the instrument that we use. Marcarini is considered in the Langhe area one of the most traditionalist producer about the Barolo vinification. So we don't use any barrique, it's all about this big capacity. So our barrel, they go from 22 up to 46 hectoliters. So we are really talking about 1,000 liters.
So 46 hectoliters means 4,600 in one of these.
In one of these, correct.
A big one.
Correct. So the wine is really a lot in contact with the wine itself rather than with the oak. The oak, as you can see from the color that is quite dark, is not new anymore. So the philosophy of Marcarini is not really having the taste of the oak in our wines. We prefer to concentrate and focus all the attention on the characteristics of the Nebbiolo grape, so the elegance of the tannins of the Nebbiolo. That is really the king of the Barolo area. So we do 24 months of aging in these big barrels. The two Barolo we produce, they come from different single vineyards, so different parcels of the same hill. Where thanks to a particular microclimate, so a combination in between altitude, soil, temperature, humidity, we can get a specific personality then back in the wine. So imagine that really the hill is the same, but La Serra is situated at the very top of the hill, 380 meters in altitude. It's one of the highest crew in the area, so it's not protected by anything around. You always get a nice breeze, a wind that chills out even the hottest day. So the temperature in La Serra tends to be constant between days and nights. Where the Brunate we need to go lower, 80 meters, so we are 300 meters and in a very protected area. It's kind of a natural amphitheater.
You are on top.
Brunate, we are at the bottom of the hill. La Serra at the very top, the other crew is at the bottom. At the bottom, the microclimate changes because we have really, really hot days as the area is protected, but very cold nights. So there is a huge thermic shock that influences a lot the personality of the wine in the end. So Brunate tends to be the more austere between the two, the real Barolo of the tradition, if you will, very linked to the to what you do expect
La
from
Serra,
a Barolo.
I didn't know this. I mean, La Serra is lighter, a bit lighter.
La Serra, yes, tends to be sweeter in the nose, so you get really the whole range of flower of Nebbiolo, a bit of licorice, strawberry, you get roses, petal, violets, where the Brunate is much more balsamic in the nose. In mouth, the La Serra tends to be easier to approach, not easy, easier comparison with Brunate, fresher and very elegant. Where the Brunate really fills up your mouth completely, so the tannins, you feel the stress of the protected area. The vinification for both is exactly the same, so we don't do any differences here in the winery in order to underline the characteristics of the crew. Everything started, so the whole story of Marcarini started from Brunate, really. 6 generations ago, so we're talking about more or less 180 years ago, when Mr. Marcarini inherited some hectares in this particular area. He was a notary, so really nothing to do with wines. So unfortunately, he decided to sell a half of what he inherited, and he started to work on the 4 hectares and a half that he kept, which are the same that we still have today. And it was especially thanks to the daughter that after some experiment decided to go out on the market with their first Brunate, and it had indeed a big success. So then from the first generation, every generation used to buy some new hectares, new vineyards and so on. And the family owns today 25 hectares in total, distributed in between here, La Morra, in the Langhe. We also have something close to the Barbaresco area in a village called Neville. And then we need to cross the river, cross the Tadaro River, which is a tiny river. It's important to divide the 2 areas of production, where we have the white Arnais, Roero Arnais, is produced in the Roero area indeed. So the production reaches today 125,000 bottles per year, which in the Langhe is considered kind of a medium size. Only Barolo, we produce 42,000 bottles per year. There it's considered our consistent capacity. So we can have a look maybe at the biggest barrel we have at the very bottom of the corridor. Here, as you can see from the walls, humidity is there, it's quite there. Imagine that during the Middle Ages, that is the time when this tower was built, they used to create very thick walls in order to keep the warmth and the cold, because of course they didn't have any heating instruments. So even today, of course, the walls are that big, so we are able to keep this kind of microclimate here. So humidity is naturally that high. It could be even higher, so it could be even more than 100%. That's why we just have, the only thing we have here is a dehumidifier to keep the humidity a bit lower than 100, because of course if it starts to leak, the risk is that the water and humidity penetrate the barrel and poison the wine. So we keep 75% of humidity, and the temperature is constant between 13 and 21 degrees Celsius all year round. So kind of a constant temperature. That's the biggest we have.
How many
Number
liters?
8. This is 4,600 liters inside.
That's a big one.
See. That's a little flat.
That's really big.
Every couple of years, we do clean the barrel. So that's actually the main entrance. Let's take this door. This little door in here is the main entrance of the barrel. So when we have to clean it, first of all, we need to empty the barrel. So imagine that every single barrel and stainless steel tank has this little hole here, and we have some tubes, plastic tubes and racket that we connect to a pump. We activate the pump and we can move the wine whatever we want. Then we remove this horizontal part, turn it like this, and either we push the door inside or we take it out. That's the door. After that, we leave the door open for a while. A while means a week, 10 days. Imagine that these barrels allow us to have an exchange with the oxygen. That's really the aim of the aging of Barolo, but it's really a micro oxygenation. So the quantity of oxygen inside is actually very low. So we need to leave the door open for a while to let the air going in, because after that a person needs to go in the barrel to clean it. A real person, so through this little hole.
A real person through this little hole?
A real person, an entire person.
A small one.
That was actually a job in the very old past, dedicated to children and very tiny women. Now men discover how to go inside. So he normally starts with the nar, and then head against the shoulder, the other shoulder, and once the shoulders are in, he pushes himself inside. That's the only way to clean it. So there is another person outside for security reasons, first of all, because the risk to faint, it could be there. So he passes a pump inside, and the one inside cleans the barrel just with hot water at a very high pressure. So plus he's completely wet. And then especially in this part here around the door and a bit at the bottom of the belly of the barrel, we have the tartrate, so the deposit of the wine that needs to be scrubbed with a special sponge. So no chemicals, nothing like this. It's all about hot water and this sponge. After the sponge, hot water again in order to remove all the little parts. And then the barrel is ready to open. He goes out, and then the barrel is ready to open the next one.
How often you do this? Every 3 years? Couple of years. Every couple of years.
Sì. Think that Barolo needs to be kept in the cellar for at least 4 years. So that's what the we can go out on the market from the 1st of January of the 4th year. Of course, in the cellar physically is a bit less because we harvest in October, but we go normally out on the market in February of the 4th year. So
3 year and a half. 3 year and a half.
But on the label you see written 4 years before. So at the moment we have the 2014, for instance, on the market.
2014 is out.
So 4 years where 18 months minimum, that's what the law requires, in wood, generally speaking. We do something more, we do 24 months of aging in the big barrels, and right before and after the aging we also do a passage in the stainless steel tanks that we will see afterwards, before the aging, in order to have kind of a natural filtration. So we don't use any mechanical filter on Barolo because that would be a bit stressful for it, so we just work with the deposit, with gravity. And it takes, of course, some months. Normally it's from November till the end of May, beginning of June. After that, we go ahead with the aging. 2 years in here. After the aging, back to the stainless steel in order to let the wine stabilize and recreate the balance between acidity and tannins, because of course in every single barrel you could have slightly different tastes. So in order to have the most homogeneous product, it's important to let the wine be together. So we have this huge stainless steel tank where we are able to fit 2.5 barrels. Of course, we always keep the 2 single vineyards separate. So Brunate goes always with Brunate and La Serra always with La Serra, same vintage, but we let them stabilize together. After the stabilization, we bottle. The bottling we cannot avoid even if it's very stressful, so we let then the wine relax and sleep in the bottle for at least 6 months. That's what happened at Marcarini. Then every producer, of course, is very free to give the signature, so to have a proper philosophy to manage this time however he prefers. So here you are really in the heart of the tradition. Right, so we are here in the more modern part of our winery. Modern just because we have some modern tools, but the building is extremely old because we have this rustic wall in here, still from the 1700s, where the rest of the building with all the arches is from the 1800s. Here, imagine we are underground, under the street level, and here there was a monastery. So this group of nuns, they used to produce wine for themselves, right in here, and it became little by little then our heart of the production. So we have the bottling machine, the labeling machine, all the corridor, that's the corridor of the stainless steel tanks. Steel tanks that welcome all our wines, Barolo included, Barbera, we produce Dolcetto, Langhe, Nebbiolo, Roero, we managed in almost 200 years to cover the panorama of the most important native and local grape varietals, and we reached the production of 9 different wines. At the very bottom of the corridor, you can see some other barrels, a bit lighter in color. That means that they are younger. The oak that we use, because that's oak, the material that we have on our barrels, comes from Croatia, in particular from Slavonia, which is a forest that was part of Italy before Italy was united, and then we lost it during the different wars wars and conflicts, but we keep going there for the oak because the oak is very high quality, of course, very long lasting, so we can really reuse this barrel for many, many years. The very old ones we saw in the tower, they were on average 50 years old, where the ones at the bottom are at the moment 30 years old. Normally when we have new barrels, we never use them directly on Barolo because, of course, you can imagine the tannins of the oak, they will be a bit aggressive, so they will kind of cover a bit the personality of the wine, at least in our philosophy. So for the first 15 years of life of the barrel, we only age another wine inside. That is
Nebbiolo?
No, Barbera.
Barbera.
Barbera, sì, because Barbera is extremely acidic, but it doesn't have any tannins in nature. So acidity and tannins, they always need to find a balance between them. So we give the tannins through the oak. So the tannins are very strong, so they are able to reach the high level of acidity, and in your mouth you will have back an elegance. So really, even the aftertaste will be very sweet. So, and that's a passage that we do for the first from 12 to 15 years of life of the barrel. After this period that we call neutralization period, we start little by little also with Barolo. I show you now the youngest barrels we have, and that's something, you are the first, I'm not joking, that you see these barrels because they brought them a couple of days ago directly from Austria. They are 25 hectoliters barrels, voila, and they are brand new, so they are ready to welcome Barbera. When you have a new barrel, you don't start immediately to refill them with wine directly. We go on here. That's indeed, sorry about that, but that's the tube of water, because you first refill the barrel with water in order to let the oak get used to a liquid, and also in order to be sure that it doesn't leak.
So new barrels.
New barrels. Allora, these 4 barrels in here, they were born 2004. 2004, so that means that they are already 14 years old. That's why we started already with some Barolo inside. Of course, we won't do the whole aging of Barolo in here, we will do just some months, and then we will move the wine in the older barrel.
And these are the new ones.
Esatto, these two are, I just keep that one. These two are the brand new. Really, 2 days old. They just arrived. So you can see here inside the barrel, it's going to be, of course, a guitarra. That's the hole that we use to go through to clean it. So as you can see, we refill from the upper part, but when we have to refill with wine, we use the little hole at the bottom.
So this is wood from Slovenia and Croatia, made in Austria, and then coming here.
Correct.
Understood.
Correct. In the past, the art of making barrels, so the coopers, were for the majority Italian.
Yeah.
Now in Italy, it's a job that unfortunately it's kind of disappearing. So a new generation decided to leave this art, unfortunately. So we had to ask, yes, the help of someone else abroad. Austria has a nice and rich culture in the art of making barrels. So we really had that's a small producer, the one that creates.
Why they are not round? They are oval?
They are
oval.
Question, because they are more oval because they had to go through the door.
Through the door.
So really a logistic problem.
Because they have to go through the door, very clear.
We have a small assistant,
Understood.
sorry. But yes, they had to move it, of course, by hand. So they built everything in Austria, and then they came with the truck. They move it in the bottling cellar, and then by hand with some seals around.
You move them here.
And with some
What is the
raisins.
weight of each one?
650 kilo.
Empty,
One.
empty.
Empty, of course.
Empty.
This is
650 each.
So there were 7 people, 7 strong
Yep.
men.
To move them.
Particularly the son of this was very strong. Imagine that just the lower part that is not attached to the barrel, it's 100 kilo. And he took this piece like bringing a piece of paper.
650 altogether.
650 kilos.
That's very interesting.
Sì. Right.
Perfetto, grazie.
So this is our little ward. We covered, yes, all the parts of our winery, and we are now ready for the tasting. Hey Maya, meow meow. Voilà, così abbiamo proprio anche tutta bene la mappa con i cru. During our tasting on the Nebbiolo grape in different versions. Barolo wine is indeed 100% Nebbiolo grape inside, but of course we will start with the easy version. So we call our Langhe Nebbiolo the Barolo in blue jeans to give the idea of a very high drinkability. Indeed, here in this wine in particular, we don't do any passage in the oak. It's pure stainless steel tank vinification. It's about 8 months and then it's ready to go out on the market. The nose of this Nebbiolo is very rich in flora, in flowers. That's really the floral expression of the Nebbiolo grape. So you get a bit of licorice, you get a bit of strawberry. It does really have some sweet notes in the background and really even at the very first impression. And then in mouth, it's all about the tannins of this grape variety. Indeed, Nebbiolo is very rich in tannins, natural tannins, that here in this one in particular, you can appreciate them really naked if you want. So that's the pure expression of the most honest Nebbiolo. That's a vinification that you don't find easily in the area of the Langhe. Generally speaking, Nebbiolo do spend some time in oak. We decided since the very beginning of the story of this wine not to give any aging, not to do any aging, so it's unoaked. So you can drink this wine straight away. That's in particular the vintage 2017, so the current vintage. You can drink it right now, you can wait some years, it depends on how you like it, of course. Nebbiolo from the basis has a very nice and very long aging potential, so even up to 10 years you can really store it and appreciate it in a more velvety expression. That's a wine that you can pair with almost every kind of food, in particular this kind of vinification, so you can have it with some handmade pasta, you can have it with some light meat, and look at the color. That's the beauty of the color of the Nebbiolo, almost transparent with these very nice ruby red reflections, almost like a Pinot if you want.
Since it's very tannic, the only things it doesn't go well is fish, but everything else is fine.
Yeah,
everything
for
else.
the rest, sì. With some primi piatti, with secondi, so really this Nebbiolo in particular is very versatile, so you can really have it with almost every kind of food. And then here we have our two Barolo, Barolo La Serra and Barolo Brunate. As the vinification is exactly the same, the color is also very similar. That's why we normally mark the glasses with two different colors, because it's important not to swap them. Normally we start the tasting with the Barolo La Serra, because Barolo La Serra is the one that is situated at the very top of the hill. We have here the map, the official map of the Barolo area. We are situated in La Morra, right in here. Every color on this map corresponds to a single vineyard, so to a specific part of the hill where there is a peculiar microclimate, and you are able to obtain a specific personality back in the bottle.
we are situated where our vineyards of La Serra are here at the top of the hill. Same hill but lower is Brunate in the conch. So it's a very protected area, kind of a natural amphitheater, where it's extremely hot during the days in Brunate, but very cold in the night. Imagine that during the harvest, where we are talking about October, for the Nebbiolo for Barolo, we easily have 28, 29 degrees Celsius at midday, against 5 only in the night. So it's a huge thermic shock. Where in La Serra, up in the hill, it's a windy area, so the temperature is for sure more constant. That's why we suggest to start for the tasting with the La Serra, because in mouth it's kind of more gentle, elegant, it's all about the finesse. Even the nose, we can find some similarities with our Langhe Nebbiolo, so you do have even here sweet notes. Of course, that's a Barolo, so you have plus the aging in the barrel, so the perfume are a bit more complex, so you get here maybe some hint of licorice. The perfumes are kind of deeper in comparison with the Langhe Nebbiolo. And in mouth, for sure, you feel the structure. So Barolo, it's a difficult wine. It's a wine that you cannot drink like this on its own. You need to pair some meat, some game. It's a difficult to understand wine, and we are tasting today the 2014. That means that it's the first year on the market, so it's still a baby Barolo. Real baby Barolo. They need, of course, both of them extra 3, 4, even 5 years before they can reach the very top of the quality. Generally, the general rule says 10 years from when it has been picked, so from the harvest. That's when the Barolo really blossom at its best.
So it will be 2024.
Sì.
For his best.
That would be the ideal, especially for our Barolo, for traditional Barolo. That's more or less the time. Of course, it depends a lot on the kind of harvest you have in front of, because there are big vintages where 10 years are not enough. Other where maybe the weather conditions were particular, like very hot or very cold or dry, where the Barolo, they can reach the top a bit sooner. But let's say 10 years minimum in every kind of vintage. Then, if you're a fan of tannins, you can of course enjoy Barolo even a bit young, but it's not at its top.
At its best.
At its best, esatto. The second Barolo we have is the Brunate. So we can see the color in the glass. It's quite similar, you see, because the maceration process is exactly the same. So how they extract the color from the skin really is the same way. We do very long maceration. In the best vintages, we really talk about 45 days of submerged cap maceration. That's something very, very traditional, very linked to the tradition. And this way, we are really able to have a natural stabilization of the color. So as you can see, our Barolos are not the darkest ever. They are considered quite light in color, but we win on the stability. So the color will be brilliant and alive even after a long aging in the bottle. Brunate, so we need to think about the hill. So we are at the very bottom of the hill. For sure, thanks to this thermic shock, the thermic shock is something that Nebbiolo loves a lot because it's helpful to, get out a very austere personality, very dark perfume. So it's all about the menthol, tobacco, leather in here. It's very balsamic. So we skip from the floral world of La Serra into a more really balsamic world. And in mouth is completely another approach. Thanks to the difference in temperature, the tannins are more stressed, so you really feel them in your mouth completely in another way. So the tannins, they touch every single corner of your mouth, so it's a very powerful Barolo. So of course we cannot say which is the best between the two, because
they're different. They're just different.
They are very different. So it's all about the personal taste. For both, we can also talk about the same pairing in terms of food. So here it's meat, some game, so some deer, wild boars. You need something complex in order to keep the complexity of the wine, of course. Or if you don't eat meat, some cheese would be also perfect. So some seasoned and bit aged cheese, especially when the Barolo are older.